for joining us for our All the Trimmings Turkeypalooza webinar. So I just want to give you a brief outline of what we're going to talk about today, and then we'll get started. We have multiple Turkeypalooza experts on the call, but we have 3 people that are going to talk about 3 different types of events that they do for Turkeypalooza. And so you'll get an idea for 3 different ways that you can have a successful event. And they'll tell us about that event, and then after all 3 of them have told us about their individual events, then each of them will walk through sort of the basics of how they plan that event. And then we'll have time for questions. I already have some that you guys have submitted, and then if you think of anything else you want to ask, obviously you can. And then I'm just going to wrap up by talking a little bit about our favorite thing, reporting, and showing you where some resources about Turkeypalooza are on the pantry. So for those of you who are on the call that have not done Turkeypalooza before, excuse me, it is a network-wide event. We have 2 of those, Raise the Dough and Turkeypalooza. Turkeypalooza is, unlike Raise the Dough, isn't so much a competition. It's more about you all doing something extra in the holiday season for your clients. And we used to make a big effort, hence the name Turkeypalooza, to make it sort of a Thanksgiving-themed event. And it still happens around Thanksgiving time, but it doesn't have to be an event with turkeys. So, excuse me, in fact, one of the people that will be telling you about their Turkeypalooza event doesn't do turkey for part of their Turkeypalooza efforts. So it's just a tradition that we have in our network where everyone goes above and beyond their normal operations to do something extra for their clients. And so it can be something, and what we found is that the most effective Turkeypalooza activities, programs, events, whatever you want to call them, whatever they wind up being, are things that come from what your clients want to do. So if they want a traditional turkey meal altogether, then having a congregate meal with turkeys and stuffing and all that kind of stuff. Or if they want grocery bags so they can cook their own Turkeypalooza meals at home, that's something that you might be able to do for them as well. So Turkeypalooza can look, like I said, like a bunch of different things. So on the screen now we have a few basic ideas, and we'll go into a couple of them more with our experts in just a second. So Turkeypalooza could be, like I said, a traditional meal, either served individually or in a congregate sort of family style. Other schools have had success combining Turkeypalooza efforts with Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week events on their campus. So if your school does a lot of that, incorporating those efforts to get more volunteers, donations, support, whatever it is that you need to have a successful event. Another great idea is to include seasonal produce, either from your garden or a local farmer's market or grocery store, or whatever it is that you are able to resource from. But including that seasonal produce in a Thanksgiving-themed grocery bag so that you give that to clients, and then they're able to cook a meal for themselves or their families or their friends on Thanksgiving Day or whenever they'd like. Another popular Turkeypalooza event in the past is Bring Your Turkey to Work Day, which we'll have someone talk about as well, which enables professors or staff or other people that work at your campus to bring in turkeys to donate to help you with your Turkeypalooza efforts. So without further ado, we'll have our expert now talk about what they do. And I'm going to mute everyone real quick, except for people when our experts while they're talking, and then I'll unmute everyone when it's question time, that sounded very elementary, I'm sorry. So first we're going to have Amanda from the Campus Kitchen at Marquette talk about what she does for Turkeypalooza.
Awesome. At Marquette, we do a pretty traditional meal. We found that that's what most of our guests really appreciate, and we try to. We have a combination of both congregate and we have a few grocery bags that we give out. Our basics of our meal is we discovered the joys of pre-cooked turkey breast, and so we are actually able to, we've found funding the past few years to be able to purchase that directly and get everything else donated around that. Either the funds were donated directly just for turkeys or what have you. We do real mashed potatoes. That's one of our big things. And we also do stuffing and gravy and all of that. We do not make our own gravy from homemade stock. in part because we don't have, that's a lot of work, and we don't have turkey bones to work with. Let me think. So we do our regular meal is with our regular guests that we see every week. Plus, we add on a few extras from several of our agencies. We ask them what their needs are and if they need more folks. Last year, I think we were around 600 or 500 meals, somewhere in that general direction. We do our big meal prep is the Saturday before Thanksgiving, with some smaller prep happening the Friday and or Thursday before. And then we also do, and then all of our delivery happens throughout the 3 days before Thanksgiving, as most of our meals go out Monday through Thursday in general. So that's the basics of what we do. Last year, I forgot to check it, and during our big cooking shift, big cooking Saturday, we'll have as many as 30 to 40 people in the kitchen throughout the day. Over the past few years, we've had, I think as many as 30 to 40 people coming in shifts, or we have a couple that will stay all day. Our leadership team is tasked with helping guide new volunteers. They're specifically kind of set up at stations to guide new volunteers to make sure that even our new folks aren't getting stuck doing something that's crazy or unfamiliar. And is that enough of an overview?
So you can talk about how you plan that event, but one other thing I wanted to bring up is that you guys also make like a turkey Thanksgiving casserole, correct?
We made the casserole once for our family groups. We work with that's one of our extra groups. Is one of our regular guests, or one of our regular clients is a for families served by a social worker at a health center, and during Thanksgiving time we feed as many as 30 of them. So we'll, because many of the families don't have the ability to cook their own turkey, we will put together like a turkey casserole or Thanksgiving casserole for them, with usually like mashed potatoes on the bottom, space of mashed potatoes, a turkey and gravy in the middle, and stuffing on top that's in a pan, easy to bake, and it serves about 6 to 10, depending on the size of your people.
Sweet. Excellent. Thanks, Amanda. So like I said, Amanda will, in a moment, get into how she goes about planning that event. But next we have Emily from the Campus Kitchen at Gonzaga University, who also does sort of a traditional meal, but she does, I think she does congregate meals like Amanda, but she also does individual grocery bags, which I'd like her to talk about now.
The grocery bags?
Yeah.
That we do? We provide many congregate meals, but we also take this opportunity to provide grocery bags to folks. We have the Spokane Neighborhood Action Programs as one of our partners, and they've got several transitional living facility units for folks that are working their way out of homelessness, and they're located throughout Spokane, and we like to provide the opportunity for all of them to experience kind of the process of making that meal as a family, kind of bring a little bit more normalcy and tradition, maybe things that they had, before whatever brought them into homelessness and working their way out of it. So we do turkey, pan, mashed potatoes, stuffing, gravy, everything they'd need to do a full Thanksgiving dinner. So down to the pumpkin and the eggs and the celery and the onions and the milk and kind of everything they would need. So that's where I'm at right now, is waiting back from the social workers to get a number on how many turkeys mostly turkeys, how many turkeys we're going to need to collect for these folks. So
great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Emily.
Uh-huh.
And now, as sort of A third, different way to do Turkeypalooza, we have Brian from the Campus Kitchen at Augsburg University who does, they do two things, but one of the things that they do is a non-traditional meal that caters to their clients' cultures. So Brian, would you like to talk about that?
Sure. So we serve about 400 dinners during the week of Thanksgiving. Most of that food is kind of collected through the staff and faculty donations and the Turkeypalooza leading up to it, more and more in cash so that we have the flexibility, which I love. And then we also, it's usually just a couple days after the kitchen does their big Thanksgiving dinner, so we've tried to time it more and more over the years that we're able to take advantage of their turkey and green bean casserole leftovers rather than baking a bunch of food ourselves, fitting it into the cooler and losing out on some of the other more natural donations we would naturally get. With the so for the most of the meals, it's just replacing our normal kind of miscellaneous leftover meals with turkey and potatoes and stuffing. But we collaborate at the nearby community center every year for what they call the multicultural dinner, which has normally been the week before Thanksgiving. And so this is where, and also I'm going to make it clear, is that we just provide basically the turkey and potatoes, and we serve that alongside Somali food, Ethiopian food, Korean, Mexican food, kind of representing all the different foods that you'd find in larger numbers within the community. So while we're part of this dinner that serves all this interesting food, for the most part, we don't cook any of that. And when we started doing it, we used to provide the normal Thanksgiving meal, which included stuffing, which nobody except for Midwestern folks that grew up here would like to eat, and green bean casserole, which nobody touched either. And in fact, we even switched. Last year, we didn't even do turkey. We just bought chicken instead and did chicken thighs. And that was easier and everything as well.
Okay, great. Thanks, Brian. So you've heard now about 3 different types of Turkeypalooza events. And like I said at the beginning, Turkeypalooza can kind of be anything that you want it to be or your clients want it to be. It doesn't have to be one of these 3 events, but we think that you can probably take components of all of these and the thought processes that go into planning an event like ones we just talked about. So now I'm going to have everyone sort of give you the basic outline of how they plan the event they just told you about. And we'll start again with Amanda.
Okay. Well, we've already been gathering donations, which it's Turkeypalooza sort for us starts when the last Turkeypalooza ended. And we get our potatoes from our local farmers market, and we're able to store those throughout from we started getting potatoes in September or so, and through the September and October of our farmers market, we'll have enough potatoes left over to do all of our mashed potatoes. We start collecting our bread so we can do homemade stuffing. We also so just thinking ahead of what you are going to need, we started collecting that long before. Since we do pre-cooked turkey breast for its convenience factor, that's one of the big things of figuring out how we're going to fund it or how we're going to get that sponsored. And so last year we had a private foundation that wanted to sponsor our Turkeypalooza for us, and so they purchased our turkeys through Sodexo. And this year we have funds from Sodexo, actually, that we are going to use to purchase our turkeys. And it's also getting the word out, collecting volunteers. We're finalizing our schedule now so that in the next week we can put it up so that volunteers can start signing up for the shift that they want. That's the basics of our planning. And also keeping really good notes so that we know what worked last year so that we can have an awesome time this year and not freak out.
Always key, especially with transitions, yes. Great. Thanks, Amanda. Emily, can you walk through how you plan going about your grocery bags in particular?
Yeah, we do our I don't know. We do 2 grocery store food drives. And then we do Take Your Turkey to Work Day. And then I also partner with a restaurant downtown to have Take Your Turkey to Work Day be brought to a broader audience downtown, so business people that frequent the restaurant can come in and use the restaurant as a drop-off location for turkeys. My food drives and cooking shifts and delivery shifts are automatically filled with, we partner with Mission Possible, which is our alternative spring break program here. So they use Turkeypalooza as their group bonding time activities for the Mission Possible students that will be going on the spring break trip. So that's already taken care of. And then I use, in years past, I've kind of come up short in turkeys because I'll know exactly how many I'll need in the next coming weeks. And if I don't have enough, I have businesses that like to come forward. I have a particular law firm downtown that they've already let me know, okay, if you're short, you come to us and you let us know how many, and we would like to pick up the slack. So they kind of sponsor us in that way. That's how we do it.
Can you talk for just a minute about how you arrange those food drives at grocery stores?
We have a long-time relationship with a local grocery store location. Those grocery store food drives, I don't know if they're difficult to arrange in other places. In Spokane, they are. They do something called Tom's Turkey Drive. There's a weatherman. His name is Tom Sherry, and he does this huge turkey drive, and it's great. All of the turkeys go to Second Harvest for purchase for us, but we would rather not purchase our turkeys. Mm-hmm. But those big food drives can put the squeeze on smaller nonprofits like ourselves, and we have just fostered a relationship with this grocery store, and they make sure that they leave those 2 Saturdays open for us every year. So you need to call the grocery store manager and schedule it with them way in advance.
And then once you guys are there, how do you communicate to people going through the store what you need?
We have grocery lists, so we put up our barrel and our signs of who we are and what we're doing. And then as the shoppers go in, we give them a grocery list of what we need. We also provide that to the store manager in advance so he can make sure that he has enough product on hand and try to match it to sales. So all of that needs to be done like 2 months before, at least for us. I can't speak to how it is in other cities, but for us, that's kind of the name of the game, is starting early.
Great. Thanks, Emily. Okay, Brian, so I know that you do partner with other organizations on this multicultural dinner, but can you give any insight on how that came about and how you decide what to bring to your clients? That would be great. To the people that do the dinner.
Sure. And also, I have to say, it's getting noisier and noisier. Whoever feels like they're in a noisy room, if you could cover the mouth set or something, that could help a lot.
Yeah, it's someone who's called in that isn't, I can't mute them because they haven't connected to the. So if you're on a phone and there's a lot of people in the room with you, if you could mute your phone, that would be extremely helpful.
Okay. That sounds a little better.
Thank you.
Sincerely, actually. So we start planning about a month out, and kind of over the years we have a list of the individuals and departments that usually help. So we collect most of the stuff. Actually, I should say all the stuff from donations from the staff and faculty. And so contacting these people directly, our historical friends, and broadcasting it across the campus newsletter, we ask for different departments to sponsor particular items. So admissions will get excited and do potatoes, fake or real potatoes, or enrollment will do the turkeys or whatever. And again, most of the donations probably come in the form of cash, and then half is actually the real food. And that way we're able to get enough food, and the cash helps us kind of balance it out with whatever we're low in. And occasionally we actually probably get much more powdered potatoes and powdered stuffing than we ever would need for Thanksgiving, which is also nice because we can keep that on hand because it's an easy thing to do when we're low on other food donations throughout the year.
Great.
Turkeys would be a little trickier to manage. It's nice to not get so many turkeys, and in fact, our big turkey donors are excited that we're asking for cash lately, so we can just purchase it and purchase what we need, and we don't have to have somebody hauling a bunch of turkeys on the given day. But in about 2 weeks, we'll really start pushing and promoting for the donations, and we set a couple days that we set up a table in the main student center. Probably the day before we actually would start preparing it and start serving the meals, that we collect all the donations so that the different offices and departments would consolidate it on site. Starting last year, in Minnesota, most of the nonprofits participate with what's called Give to the Max Day, this big online giving day. And so last year we were approached by Finnegan Beer Company. It's a charity beer company that donates all their profits to feeding hunger or fighting hunger. Mm-hmm. And so they gave us a match to raise a bunch of funds on that day, which actually happened to be about the exact day that we start collecting it. So it kind of makes it a little complicated to frame. There's Turkeypalooza, which is combined with Give to the Max Day, which is where we try to collect as much money now online so that it can get matched by this beer company. And then it's also part of, most people think of our Thanksgiving celebration along with the multicultural dinner, which all kind of happens at the same time. And we get most of the volunteers, well, for most of the shifts, it just takes 2 or 3 volunteers to serve that congregate meal as usual. We do have more help than usual because people expect this to happen at this time of the year, and they sign up more than they usually do. But for this big multicultural dinner, we provide almost all the volunteers for that event. And we get a lot of excitement from residential life. And so it's the different hall directors and floor leaders that they get their students to come out for that event.
Great. Thanks, Brian. Something I want to emphasize that Brian said before we move on is that he sometimes gets too much of one thing, hopefully not turkeys because those are a pain to store, but things that you can leave in a pantry or that are non-perishables. And he won't use them for Turkeypalooza, but they help come in handy later. And that's something that if you're going to do a food drive of any sort, can be important to keep in mind. Obviously, you want to make sure that you're getting all of the items that you need to have a successful Turkeypalooza extra meal event. But if you can get other things that will help sort of supply and sustain and fill in gaps in your pantry year-round, that can be really effective as well. So that balance may be tricky, but that's something that we recommend that you keep in mind as well. Right before we move on to questions, I did want to call out Jetty from the Campus Kitchen at Washington and Lee. They have a really effective Turkeypalooza program as well, and she does the Bring Your Turkey to Work Day. So Jenny, if you could talk about that for a minute and then just give any of your sort of best guidance, we'd love to hear it.
Sure. So we try to advertise at the monthly faculty meeting before our Bring Your Turkey to Work Day event, and we have that event at least 3 days in advance of when we need to cook so that we have time to thaw turkeys. We actually set up in the parking garage with coolers so that as people are coming to work, we can just pick up the turkeys from them. And then we have a law school here as well, and so we make a run over, and their dining services actually collect those for us, and we pick them up from them. But it works out really well, and people have come to look for Turkeypalooza, Bring Your Turkey to Work Day, and we do get some cash, but a lot of turkeys, which is really nice.
Awesome. And having that sort of designated drop-off time and place is great. I heard a story from our coordinator at University of Massachusetts Boston that last year her predecessor had a Bring Your Turkey to Work Day, and some people left turkeys in her office over the weekend. So needless to say, those turkeys were not useful for them and also caused a big stinky mess. So keep that in mind if you're having a Bring Your Turkey to Work Day. Make sure you have an effective system for coordinating drop-offs so that you don't have that happen to you. Thanks, Jenny. So now, question time. And like I said, I have some, so I'll start with a question. But if you have a question, now it's time to answer. So our first question is, what are ways to fundraise to purchase ingredients for that increased number of meals that is the goal of Turkeypalooza? And I'll just have any of our experts on the phone jump in and answer. No one wants to take that one on? Emily, do you do any fundraising to purchase ingredients, or is it all a drive?
We pretty much do a drive. We do have a jar that we usually take, for donations at the grocery store. My students forgot it last year, which was awesome. Not really, but that's pretty much the only fundraising portion we do on Turkeypalooza. We get most of our stuff in the form of donations. And I think it's partially because the people really like that feeling of like, here's my turkey, and dropping it off. And for some reason, I think that's a really good feeling. Well, it is. People like to give, and I think they like that.
Yeah.
Physical action of dropping off the turkey.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else fundraise for their Turkeypalooza efforts as opposed to, or in addition to, getting items donated?
Well, I can talk a little bit about that. We had, last year we were connected with a small private foundation that served kids, and since half of our meals went to kids, we had like a very minimal proposal that we sent to them, and so it was not your traditional like grant writing or anything like that, but they sponsored around $600 worth of product for us to get turkeys and a little bit of backup food. We use that also to get a few other things that we might need just in case, so that we have sort of building some of our staples that we were really, really low on to help make sure that we had enough. Yeah, that's the basics. Yeah, that's what we do.
Awesome. So something in common I'm hearing from Amanda and also from Brian, they both partner with other local places or partners or other events going on to try to make their Turkeypalooza efforts coincide with other efforts that other people might know about, and that helps you reach a broader audience to increase your funding base, I guess. What other questions are out there? And you can either ask them out loud on the phone, or you can type them in the chat box and I'll read them out. All right, well, I'll read another one in the meantime. Another question we had are, what are good ways to spread the word about Turkeypalooza around campus and get more students involved than your normal volunteers that help with your normal cooking and delivery shifts?
We at Gonzaga have the morning meal, which is kind of just an online little way to get news here on campus. That might be a good way to get some publicity.
So it's like an email that's sent to everyone?
Yeah, we also do posters.
Great.
This is also a good time to reach out to, like, if you have an office of student organizations, to send information through their office to the folks who run student organizations. So like Emily has the group that uses it as their community or their bonding, team building exercise. It can be a great team building exercise for student organizations as well.
Awesome idea.
And some of them will stick around afterwards and be regular volunteers because they have such a good time.
That's an even better outcome. What are some other questions or answers, even if you're not one of the people that presented, if you think you have really effective methods of fundraising or recruiting volunteers or anything, we'd be happy to hear them. All right, well, I have another question that was submitted. I hope that I'm not the only one who asks questions, though. So what are the best ways to come up with a good Turkeypalooza meal program, event, etc.?
Could you repeat that, Linda?
Yeah. Well, one of the questions was, what are good ways or things we can do to come up with good, effective Turkeypalooza programs, events, meals, whatever? How do we know what to do?
I would really look for need in your community or some place that might be lacking, whether if your community already has a lot of big congregate meals, maybe reach out to different service providers in your area and see if they have clients that could benefit from grocery bags. Just so we aren't duplicating services, and we really want it to be something that the community needs.
Awesome. Anyone else have ideas about that one?
Because I don't know about the other groups. I've been kind of quiet now because I hope I was a little thorough explaining a little bit about fundraising and the other things that we did.
Yeah.
But around the planning, we've never done it actually on Thanksgiving. Everything has happened the week before. I don't know if it'd be interesting to know if other schools are doing it actually on the day of. I think in one way we'd have more volunteers. There's a lot of people who we hear from, I think more from the community, that want to do it on that day. But we try to do it before students completely check out. And while I can, as a coordinator, can still be around and commit myself to being present, where I'm not able to do that on Thanksgiving myself.
We do the same, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
The week before.
I know the campus kitchen at Gonzaga College High School does it on Thanksgiving Day. And since they're high school students, they have their parents come and other community members, and they invite their clients. Their clients are located like literally on the same block or a block over from the school, and they invite their clients to come to the school not only for the dinner but also to cook with them in the kitchen, which is a really great bonding time as well. We did get a question submitted, which is a great one. What do you do with all the food that you are recovering during Turkeypalooza time that week or that day, like for normal operations? So what do you do with the food that you've recovered for normal meals with Campus Kitchen?
We try to at least have 1 or 2 meal service sites throughout the year that can handle just randomly donated food. Like right now, this semester we're not running as many larger shifts, so we actually have tons of extra food. So we have a relationship with a nearby center that we've never had students serve at, but they do provide a meal, and they usually kind of use their funds to pay for the ingredients or collect it somewhere else. And so we regularly send them, the 1 to 15 pans a week, depending on what we have as a surplus.
Okay. Anyone else have an answer to that question?
We keep all of our donated food separate until all the food drives are over. I don't know if that helps answer the question, but it helps us for reporting purposes to find out exactly how much we've collected at the food drives and space-wise.
So you just hold on to it and then use it in meals like the week after?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you mean we hang on to all of our donated stuff, so it doesn't cram up anything until the actual food, until the cooking shifts.
Gotcha, yeah. Okay, what are some other questions that are out there?
And to go back to that other question, like I think I said earlier, we try to work as much as we can to use the turkey and the green bean casserole. Especially our kitchen's doing a lot of potatoes. We get potatoes almost every day. And then just kind of planning it so that we can use the donated food before we cook anything ourselves. And one thing I really like to do is, take their baked potatoes or like little red baked potatoes and then mix it with the powder stuff. So it's like half mix, and then it looks really real because the skins are all on it and has most of that texture. That's a really quick way to have something that's pretty quality.
Nice. That's a great tip. David from Auburn, are you on the call?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry to call you out, but can you share, I thought your answer, so, and this goes to the question that was just asked, can you share about what you guys did for Turkeypalooza last year, how you used the food that you already had to do a special thing?
Sure. So for last year, we had a lot of excess ground beef in like hamburger patties that we had frozen that we really couldn't like purpose for anything major, and so we kind of took Turkeypalooza and we made it like a pasta palooza, and so for that week or so we handed out extra meals with pasta and like meat sauce and then other things. I think we made like meatloaf and other things like that, just to try to knock out as many boxes of that ground meat as possible.
Awesome. So that's another idea, is if you have a ton of something, this is the time to use it up. Thanks, David. So I think the last thing I would ask anyone who's either presented or anyone who feels like they have just a great tip or trick that they've learned from Turkeypaloozas of years past. So if you could pass one piece of advice onto a campus kitchen planning Turkeypalooza for the first time or trying a new event, what would that one piece of advice be?
I was going to say to take the whole birds and split them into pieces. So quarter them and then, or eighth them or whatever. So you cook wings separate from the way you cook thighs from the breast. And you can usually get everything cooked in an hour rather than 3 hours if you throw the big bird in. That's vital. I was going to kick myself if I didn't say that before the end of the call. But I like the idea even more that I heard today to use the either pre-cooked or just straight turkey breast.
Yeah.
Somebody always cuts their finger, and I'm always like worried that it's going to be worse, gutting these whole chickens apart. So there's, besides the timing issues, there's always a bit of liability and even just volunteer capacity. So yeah, I plan to make it even simpler and safer.
Awesome. Yeah, so if you can arrange
Thank
to
you
get
for
those
that.
breast or pre-cooked turkeys, you are so welcome. Who else has like a piece of advice that they've just got to share?
I don't do pies. Pies just don't travel well for us.
Thank you for breaking that up.
You only get 8 pieces generally per pie, and it's round, which doesn't pack well. And I look for other pumpkin. I usually do pumpkin cookies, some other kind of pumpkin-themed or something dessert. And I'm not a good pie maker, so.
So there's that too.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah, if you are going to do pumpkin stuff, we usually don't do, maybe half the meals have like pumpkin muffins or whatever else. I do know the food shelves, all the food shelves we work with are drowning in pumpkin meat. This seems to be like the one common product that they can't push onto the clients, and they always have a bunch of stuff that doesn't move. So before you buy anything or ask people to donate it, you might want to connect with your local food shelf and see if you can take some of that off your hands.
Great idea. And Wake Forest just said that they do pumpkin cookies as well. Yes, I think pies, at least from what I've heard, have been like a big lesson learned. Like don't kill yourself trying to do pies. Okay, so I want to move along in the interest of time. If you have other great tips, I'm compiling a list to put on the pantry. And so if you just want to email them to me, I would really appreciate it because I have personally never done Turkeypalooza, so I don't have so many tips in my head. So just as a wrap up, I just wanted to remind everyone what reporting is required as far as Turkeypalooza goes. So on the screen now is a screenshot of just a regular monthly report. And under the section, meal and food distribution, food out, the second box down is highlighted. It's number of extra meals served, and that is where you report your Turkeypalooza meals. So the first box, number of regular meals, is just like your regular, anything you serve on a normal food, or, in your normal operations. And then, the extra meals is the number of meals you served through Turkeypalooza. So that way we know how to keep track. And we can say that we served, like we say last year, we served about 5,000 Turkeypalooza meals, and that just helps us keep track of our numbers better. So do make sure that you're breaking it down when you do your report into your normal meals and your extra Turkeypalooza meals. And then another thing that we ask of you, and your program manager will have these to get to you. They're not due anytime soon, so it's not a huge rush. But after your Turkeypalooza event is over, and we recommend the sooner the better so you don't forget to do this, you don't forget your numbers, it just doesn't get lost. We ask for this snapshot report back. And so it gives us a basic idea of what you did for Turkeypalooza, how many pounds of turkey, if you did turkey, you recovered and served, or recovered and then served separately, the number of meals you did again, number of agencies you worked with, number of volunteers. And again, this just helps us track for this extra special holiday time how many extra special people were involved in things we were doing. You can share with us any media coverage you got. University of Florida has already gotten media coverage from a local paper, wrote about the fact that they're doing Turkeypalooza, which is awesome. And those are things that we like to know about. And also we ask for pictures. We're always asking for pictures of anything. I'll take a picture any day of anything relating to your campus kitchen. But this helps us tell a story better after, if we can show people what does Turkeypalooza physically look like on your campus. And then the last thing I wanted to share with you all is Turkeypalooza on the pantry. If you do not have access to the pantry, we should rectify that ASAP. And so you can also email me to get you access to the pantry. But for those of you who do have access, you know that the pantry is like all of the resources you could hopefully ever need to run a campus kitchen. So those of you who aren't on it should be on it. So here is the Turkeypalooza page up on the screen right now. And you'll see on here is just a bunch of different resources we have for you all. So there is sort of a guideline and timeline for Turkeypalooza, so you can, keep yourself on track to have an event right around Thanksgiving. There's a list on here of groceries that you might need to have sort of a traditional Thanksgiving event. There's a master list for a food drive for all of the ingredients that you might want to get in a food drive. A list of things that you might want to put in a grocery bag like Emily does. There's some different recipes on here that you can use for Thanksgiving. We have a one-pager on here that is just sort of the basic what is Turkeypalooza that you can give to staff members if you're trying to get staff faculty involved in contributing. You could give to your student paper or local newspaper if you'd like them to write about you. It's just sort of a one page of information about generally what is Turkeypalooza. We also have a couple of other things that I want to show you. We have a press release template on here. It's the first thing. And this is just exactly what it sounds like, a template where you fill in the blanks about your campus kitchen and what your Turkeypalooza activity or activities are going to be. And this is something you can send out to your university to try to get your university media staff to write about it, your student paper, any other local papers. And if you need help with that, you can always ask me, and I can definitely help you with any sort of media outreach. But this is the sort of thing that you want to send out maybe at the beginning of the month, around then, to let people know what's happening. And it can also be a way for you to help get contributions, whether it be financial or product, whatever you need. There's the last sentence in this is, help the campus kitchen at whatever, meet their food donation goal, or help to prepare meals, please contact so-and-so. There's also a media advisory, which you can see now, and that's a little bit different. A media advisory is something that you send out to media outlets to invite them to your event. So a press release just lets them know what's going to happen in this situation, and the media advisory is to invite media to come to your actual event. So if you're doing a group dinner, or you're having a really huge cooking shift and you want media to come to write about it and take pictures and video, etc., this is what you would send out to give them all of the details of the actual event. For the media advisory, it's good to send that 1 week in advance, which is on the pantry. You don't need to remember all these dates if you're not writing them down. And we ask for the media advisory that you send it to me at least 1 business day, full business day, before you want to send it out, so I can just check over it and make sure that it's good to go out. And then we also have a Turkeypalooza board on Pinterest for all of you Pinterest fans. And there's a lot of non-pie ideas for sort of Turkeypalooza Thanksgiving desserts. Some different side dishes that you can do that have been really popular in the past, like someone was talking about on our staff earlier this week, a sweet potato and apple casserole, so that's on here. Information on how long it takes to cook a turkey, though, like Brian said, you should be breaking it down so you don't have to put a turkey in the oven for 5 hours, and just other resources for you. So that is all on here. And if there's any other questions that you have after today or between now and your Turkeypalooza event, you can ask your program manager, you can ask me, and we will find you an answer as best we can. So at this point, that's all I have. If there are any last-minute questions, you guys can ask them now, or I will say talk to you later. Thanks for joining. And I hope that you guys all have awesome events, and I can't wait to learn about them all afterwards.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.